After months of heavy fighting, Israel and Hamas agreed to a ceasefire. The deal was announced as a major step toward peace, but in reality, it is only a temporary pause. Gaza is destroyed. Thousands of buildings are gone. More than 30,000 Palestinians are dead. Families are returning to what is left of their homes, walking through streets filled with rubble. Israel has pulled some troops out of Gaza's main cities, but it still controls border zones, corridors, and airspace. Drones continue to fly above Gaza every day. The ceasefire allows more aid to enter, but Israel inspects every truck that crosses the border. Hamas has begun releasing hostages as part of the agreement. In return, Israel has freed nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, but many key prisoners remain behind bars. Hamas has refused to give up its weapons or accept a foreign power ruling Gaza. Israel has refused to recognize any authority linked to Hamas. Both sides are using this pause to regroup and replan. The ceasefire is fragile, built on mistrust, and could collapse at any moment. Inside Israel, the government is divided. Some ministers demand a complete victory over Hamas. Others want to end the war and focus on rebuilding the country's economy. Behind closed doors, Israeli security officials are already working on what comes next. They call it the second phase, a strategy to reshape Gaza permanently without full occupation. The plan begins with control. Israel will keep military positions near Gaza's borders and inside certain corridors. These zones allow Israel to move troops quickly if the truce breaks. Surveillance networks will expand, giving Israel real-time data on every movement inside Gaza. The next step is political control. Israel will push for a new administration in Gaza, likely backed by Arab states and Western countries, but under conditions that favor Israeli security. Hamas will be excluded from this new government. Any local leader who works with Israel will receive funding and reconstruction support. At the same time, Israel will tighten control over aid and rebuilding. Every project will need Israeli approval. Materials for construction, medicine, and fuel will pass through Israeli inspection points. Gaza will appear to rebuild, but under invisible control. Israel's goal is to make sure Gaza never becomes a threat again, even without a single Israeli soldier inside the main cities. Hamas is preparing for a different kind of fight. Its fighters are still in underground tunnels. Its leaders believe the ceasefire is only a trick to weaken them politically. They have said that if Israel or its allies try to replace them, they will return to war. For now, Hamas is focused on survival, rebuilding its network, and keeping influence among Gaza's people through aid and propaganda. The United States is deeply involved in this process. Washington wants the ceasefire to hold, but also wants to prevent another humanitarian crisis. If Israel re-enters Gaza, the U.S. will face global backlash. At the same time, America continues to supply Israel with military aid, hoping to maintain leverage. This balance is delicate. If Israel acts too aggressively, it could strain its ties with Washington and anger Arab allies. In the region, reactions are mixed. Egypt and Qatar are mediating quietly, trying to maintain calm.
Saudi Arabia is watching closely, delaying normalization with Israel until it sees how Gaza's future unfolds. Iran views the ceasefire as a temporary setback.
It will continue to fund and arm groups like Hamas and Hezbollah to keep pressure on Israel. Turkey positions itself as a peace advocate, but uses the crisis to boost its influence across the Muslim world. Europe remains divided. Some countries defend Israel's security actions, while others demand accountability and investigation into civilian deaths. Russia and China see an opportunity to challenge American influence. Both powers may use diplomatic channels and media to paint Israel and the U.S. as aggressors, winning favor in the global south. The next few months will determine the outcome. Israel's forces will not leave Gaza completely. They will stay close, monitor, and wait. If Hamas fires even one rocket, Israel can claim the ceasefire was violated and strike again. If Hamas stays quiet, Israel will use the time to reshape Gaza's political system and economy from the outside. Either way, control stays in Israel's hands. Global consequences are inevitable. If Israel manages to stabilize Gaza under indirect rule, it will strengthen its regional position. The U.S. will claim success, and Arab states may slowly move toward new diplomatic ties. But if the ceasefire fails and fighting resumes, the war could spread beyond Gaza. Hezbollah in Lebanon could open another front. Iran could respond directly or through militias. Oil prices would surge. Protests would erupt worldwide. Western powers would face pressure to stop Israel, while regional militias would grow stronger. Israel's strategy is simple but powerful: control without occupation. By managing Gaza's borders, electricity, and aid, it can dominate the territory without the costs of full invasion. It will use technology, economics, and diplomacy instead of tanks. To the world, Gaza will look free, but in reality, Israel will decide what crosses every gate and what gets rebuilt. This is the shocking truth of Israel's next move. The ceasefire is not peace, it is preparation. Israel is changing its approach from open war to invisible control. Hamas remains cornered but not gone. The people of Gaza are caught between the two, living in a fragile pause that could collapse any day. The outcome will affect more than just Gaza. It will shape alliances, shift global power, and test how the world defines freedom and control. If Israel's plan succeeds, it could create a new model of dominance, one where wars are fought with economics and politics instead of bombs. If it fails, the region will explode again, pulling in every major power. For now, Gaza waits, Israel watches. The ceasefire holds by a thread. But everyone knows the next move is coming, and when it does, it will not only change Gaza, it will change the world.